Hey y'all, welcome to this edition of Tea Time in the Greenhouse. Cozy chamomile. Chamomile tea is my absolute favorite. Shout out to Dana McMullen. The honey from her beehives is swirling around in this cup and it is delicious. It is really putting this cup over. I've been teasing about possibly raising my own hive, and Dana has been very enabling. But let's get to the conversation because you know one is coming. So while I'm out here harvesting my rice, ta-da! I wanted to piggyback off of a subject that we talked about earlier this year. We talked about not measuring yourself by someone else's ruler. And I spoke about different, examples of that. But my goal today and the subject matter for today was to talk about healing in any shape or form. Be it physically, mentally, emotionally, recovering from something financial. Like, healing isn't linear. It ain't linear, y'all. It is not, this is the way. This is not the Mandalorian. This is not the, it's not linear. Healing differs for everybody, for everyone, for every situation. Think about somebody that is compromised physically might not get over the flu as fast as somebody who just caught it and is back at work in 5 days. Somebody who breaks a bone might not heal in the length of time that someone else breaks the same bone. It all depends. It is not linear. And one thing that I don't think I focused enough on is healing through your grief and healing through to sobriety. Though I have lost my grandfather and my grandmother, I haven't been hit as hard with grief over a loss as I have my best friend that just recently passed. Didn't know him personally, but I was absolutely devastated when Michael Jackson passed. So like I've lost some pets, I've experienced loss, but the grief for me has never been as heavy as it has been with my best friend. And I had to ask myself, like, why are you now about to be mad or angry at yourself for being as upset as you are over his loss because you handled the other ones differently? I had to stop and tell myself, healing ain't linear. Those losses weren't the same. My grandfather, I was 10 when he passed. I mean, I understood it, but I kind of really didn't understand the magnitude of what was really happening. For my paternal grandmother, I was 19. I understood it then, but she was also elderly and not physically well, so it made more sense. Again, I didn't know him personally, but I was 29 when Michael Jackson passed, and I had kids by then. I absolutely understood the magnitude of it by that point, but it was just so sudden. And it was somebody who unrealistically had this image of invincibility. That was the name of his album, Invincible. And so it was such a shock. With my best friend, someone that I was talking to daily, all day, daily, for years, who I basically saw by my side like how I see my husband, how I see, you know, my kids, my parents, like that feeling of they're always going to be there. I know unrealistic, but that sudden loss, that I'm struggling. I'm struggling with it. And beating myself up by saying, "Oh, you handled your grandmother passing away, but you can't handle your best friend." Like, that's not fair to myself. And I had to stop and tell myself that. And when I thought about the fact that I was having that conversation with myself, I said, you know what? Somebody else needs to hear this. Healing isn't linear for everybody. It also isn't linear for you. There's similar situations that are going to occur, i.e., the deaths and losses of family members and friends, celebrities that you admire. And they all are going to hit you different. And that's okay. Which leads me into sobriety. Everybody's not going to go about that the same way either. My sobriety is precious to me because it, to me now, is the essence of my life. Especially since I've managed to stay that way after this previous heavy loss. So, looking at other friends that are fighting to get sober, other friends that don't necessarily seem to think that they need to get sober, when we all finally come down to it, that time isn't linear. That time frame of everybody figuring it out isn't linear. Some people aren't gonna figure it out. Some people are gonna struggle with it. Even, you know, they're gonna figure it out, but they're gonna struggle with it. Some people are gonna figure it out and get it together. It's not gonna happen the same way for everyone. My father, my daddy, who I love and admire, he was an alcoholic, and he is now 25 years sober through AA. Shout out to AA, Big Book, Bill W. It definitely works for some people. Here's the thing. I didn't go to AA. Some people, even though I haven't drank a drop in 4 years, would say, oh, you know, you're not completely sober until you go through AA. That's not true. My sobriety isn't linear. The way I went about it was through sitting in my garden on the phone with my therapist. That is how I got here. It wasn't through AA, even though, because I went to Al-Anon Teen, you know, when I was younger for my father, and I did attempt to read the big book. I did attempt to read it when I first started this sobriety journey. I know about the 12 steps. I absolutely exercised them. I just didn't do it through an official AA meeting. I didn't get an official AA coin. My father is who's gifted me all of my sobriety coins for the last 3 years. A lot of people would say you can't have a family member or a friend as a sponsor. My father has absolutely been a sponsor for me because he walked this walk. And again, my healing is not linear. Sobriety is a healing for me. Not drinking is an absolute healing for me. And as I'm learning to heal and cope with the loss of my best friend, and as I'm learning to heal and cope with life without the bottle, I must always remind myself that it isn't linear and that it doesn't have to be this way. It can be this way or that way or this way or that way, just so long as it is. So long as you are healing, so long as you are coping. And it's, I mean, we would rather it not be a destructive coping, i.e. drinking, smoking, heavy drugs, super depression, like really, really like tanking with life, because that ain't coping. Let's be for real. That ain't coping. It's surviving, but it's not coping. But again, the manner in which we cope, I have to let go and let God, let science and let magic Because if somebody does feel like they're coping through the bottle, who am I to say that they're not? See how heavy that gets? See how sticky it is? But the facts remain. Everybody's healing isn't linear. So when you see somebody else going through something that you've gone through and they seem to be struggling with it, but you was okay with it and you managed through, don't be judgmental and go, oh, I made it, you can make it too. You don't know what this person can or cannot make it through, and you can't use your experience as a measurement for that. You can't use that on someone else because that was your personal experience. Like the fingerprints on your on the tips of your fingers, that's yours. Yes, everybody has, those of us that have hands and fingers. Yes, we got the prints. We all have the prints, but they're not all the same because those prints are for you and your healing is for you. So don't throw your healing off onto someone else, and don't let someone else put the weight of how they feel you should heal on you. Let me get back to this rice, y'all. See you at the next episode.